This guy spent 20 years putting together his coin collection, and he decided to sell the coin collection to me and ask if I would do a video of it. And I thought, why not? Let's just try this. Let's just do a video of his coin collection. He wanted to go out with a big bang. Now, I try to do this often to immortalize coin collections. All of them are special when it comes from the person that actually put them together. And even though they're special otherwise, they're a little bit more special when someone has worked on it for a long time and they decided that they're going to sell, or they have health problems or something else got in the way and they just had to get rid of their collection. So it's a big deal to some people because they still have an attachment to it. And I understand that. So let's take a look at it. We've got it right here behind me, and I'm going to start picking items and we're going to start looking at them. So some of the things that were in here is these proof sets, and these are the silver. They're in the black. The green would be clad. So they started the 90% proof sets in 92. The U.S. Mint did to 98, and then until they went to the 99 and started the state quarters. But that's when they started back up with the 90% silver. These sets here, the 95 is a little bit better, but not a whole lot like it used to be. And then in the 98, you want to look for the close AM cent in these. They had them, I guess they mixed the dies around on some of these, the design. So there was a few of these in here, and they're basically worth, a little premium over their silver, but silver's up so much that it ate up the premium of these that used to be on them, these sets here. But I'll tell you what, they are some of the most beautiful sets that you'll ever see the U.S. Mint make, silver sets. The coins, and we'll look at one of them, the 95 here. I mean, they're very nice cameo coins on these sets, and just they really are beautiful. To me, these sets are underrated, in my opinion. And they're not extremely high mintages. And here's the reverse. Then, of course, a bicentennial. And this is the Unk set. And it's a 1776 to 1976. It's 40% silver. A lot of people have asked me if that's an error. That is not an error date. They're all like that. That was a bicentennial year. So you had the Unk set, and then you had the proof, and here's the proof. And they're pretty popular sets, obviously. And there was a state quarters. These anymore used to be something. I mean, these were had a little bit of a premium on them, but anymore people are buying these dealers for basically just the silver content. Now, sometimes you can sell them separately and get a little more out of them. Somebody might need to put them in your collection. Got a 56 proof. Nice set there. And then a 55. And you want to look for our 59. It had 59 marked here. It looked like a 55 to me, but it ended up being a 59. So these are pretty common sets. I mean, you're looking at around 25 bucks. They sell for upwards of 35 depending on, what the condition, the packaging, and different things like that. Looks like you pay $25, $20. So you can see the difference in prices as they've increased with silver and after COVID. These sets are being cut out and submitted, being put in sets over the years. So it's surprising that they haven't actually went up more. I don't know how many would be left of each. But you got the 63, which is the last year of the Franklin $50 proof. And, of course, another 63, a 62, and another 63 without the packaging. And then this little box here with a commemorative. It's a 90% dollar commemorative. And this one here is the U.S. Capital Silver Dollar. The back of it. A lot of the times I don't show this kind of stuff because we buy this stuff all the time. The modern stuff it comes in a lot. It comes in pretty often in the coin shop. And then a brown Ike, what they call a brown Ike because it's in a brown box and it's a proof. And they are toned almost all the time. And then another little surprise that just fell out. I didn't realize it was in here. I want to kind of save some of the good stuff for last, the better stuff. Let's put it that way. Is the 3-leg. It's extra fine details. This one here has a lot of issues. It says damaged on it, but you look for the leg and it looks like there's a little stream coming down from the bison there underneath on most of these. It's hard to see it here because it's been kind of damaged, but the dies were not in that great a shape and that was accidentally removed. But with it being in a PCGS holder, which is what you got to do, if you've got one that's questionable, you're not sure, send it to ANACS or send it to NGC or PCGS, one of those companies, and that way it's authenticated. A damaged coin like this needed to be authenticated. So that's a nice little find right there. And then you have a 69, and this has got a 40% Kennedy half dollar in it. And this is next to the last year. The last year was actually 1970 proof and a 1970 mint set. You had the 70D and the 70S. That's the last year the 40% Kennedy has. Here's a Prestige set, 1986. This has the Statue of Liberty, called Ellis Island sometimes, referred to as. Then there are a few more sets here. Another 69 proof set. Now some of these, if they grade high enough to get the cameo, they can be worth a little bit more. You want to check PCGS's website for the prices on that. Here's 64 sets, mint sets. Probably a P&D here. I haven't looked at the back. Let me see here. Yep, this is the D, this is the P. So this is a P&D mint set, complete. And then you have a couple proof sets. Well, this is a mint set here, partial. And this is a proof set out of the packaging. They're pretty popular. They're like ear sets you can buy. Then there was a few loose coins in a bag. Don't know anything about large, small S's, not much. It's not listed on PCGS or in the gray sheet. But you had just your normal, this is this dates. You had some little better dates. It's look on the back here, and it is a type 2. And it's in the wrong holder, so you don't know which one it is. But this is 1918 here, this one is. And this one is a 1917. You can see that there, the dates there, pretty apparent. And I was going through it here, and I found a 21S. I don't know if we've already carded it up or not. I think it's still in here. $19.18. Just a few common examples there. Here's the 21. So 21S is in there. I want to make sure I look through these because, I mean, if you don't, sometimes there's little hidden gems that they forgot about or put in there and wasn't thinking. That probably should have been in the book. The 1940 and another 1917. Just common stuff. Your 90%. Here's a roll of walking half dollars, and then there were some barber coins here. Your typical worn examples. And the same thing here, you just got some quarters, standing quarters and different things. I had to separate them, they were together. That's one of the things about buying collections. When you buy stuff like this, you want to make sure that you're going through it to pick out anything that might be in here that they forgot. Or some people like to put coins just to see if you'll find them, just to see what kind of a dealer you are. I mean, that's, I don't blame them. I mean, I should be looking at this and making sure, because when you got type coins like this, you want to make sure you're checking all the dates and the mints, and you're not just trying to get all of them for silver value or whatever it might be. And I want to address fellow coin dealers. I know you're not a bunch of kids, and I'm not your dad, and I can't tell you what to do. But, if you are not going through people's coins and paying them fairly and finding their good dates in there and paying them a fair price, shame on you. I mean, people send me coins, and they trust me. And I'm going to look through everything and give the best price that I possibly can. And if it doesn't seem like it's the best price, I can explain why my price is not the best. I do this every single day, and I talk with customers. I talk with people. They call me on the phone. I made a deal yesterday with someone, and I'll have a video on that. I'll make a really good video. And we talked about pricing. I did some research, and it was a better type coin That's the reason why I did it, because it was worth spending the time to do it. And, you know, we come to a price, and he drove an hour and a half down here to sell that coin to me. That's what you want. You want that reputation. That helps the hobby. Being self-serving and selfish and greedy does not help this hobby. So anyways, let's get on back to the collection, but I had to add that. There's a few more miscellaneous items here. Stuff that, you know, it's worth something, but not a lot, except for maybe something like this. I paid decent for this one because that's a really nice Stone Mountain 1925. It's really a cool coin. At least AU58, probably mint state though. Not all of them are struck really strong. And then there's a silver eagle here. Kind of bad shape, mostly just a silver value. Seated quarter, and then a few other silver items. Halves without the boxes. And this is a private mint. Liberty Lobby, 1993. A little silver, I think it's either a 10th or a 4th. 10th. And just some proofs that were bought or took out of packaging and things like that, and some Buffalo nickels. No major dates, key dates, or anything like that in here. There was some 2 cents. A lot of people don't realize there were 2 cents, 1865. And then there was a shield nickel, 1867. And this one here, 1864. Large motto. Small motto is worth some money. And then some plated stuff. Just little things like that that were took out of holders. Indian cent. And another 2 cent here, 1866. So these will be cool to be able to card up and have for the coin shows. By the way, we do have another 1864. We got a coin show the 19th at Tays Valley. This month, the Tays Valley is on a Saturday the 19th, and then the last weekend of the month. I think it's the 27th and the 8th. It's Thursday is early bird at the Cincinnati Sharonville show, and then you got Friday and Saturday. And like I said, I'll be there the whole time, and I'll have all kinds of coins. I'm going to have a lot of stuff there, and if you have any requests, let me know. I'll try not to forget anything. I'll try to bring everything that I can, so I have a little bit of everything. But I want to do business with everybody. I'm not going to be able to do appraisals, do much in the way of buying coins and trade. That's just not something I'm going to be able to do at the shows. But I just want to let everybody know that I will be there, and I will be there to sell. You know, if you have one coin I might need, I might trade or something like that. But I can't go through coins and offers and do appraisals. That's just going to be me and another guy. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to have the time or the manpower to do that. Then we have these, and it's a complete state quarter collection from 99 all the way to 2021 in several books. You can see the books right here. These are just the clad P&D, so it's not the proofs or anything like that in this set. Then you have the 2004 to 2008, has the proofs and the silver in it. With the silver and all of them in it, the P and the D and the S's, the clad and the silver, it's worth a little bit of something. But some dealers will just take out the silver and the rest is pocket change to them. But if it's in an album, I think this is worthy enough that someone would purchase it. I would sell all these books to somebody if they wanted to quote a price on it. You know, like I said, it's a nice set. It takes a long time to put these together, put all these in there. I mean, it takes hours just to stick all the coins in it, let alone find them. And, you know, you're buying the albums, and the albums are in good condition. So, you know, something like this is worth something, but we do buy this stuff a lot. We see this a lot. I've got albums sitting back there right now with state quarters in them, with silver that I need to sell. I need to get myself on the ball. But, yeah, it's just really decent sets. Some toning on them, but minimal toning, not too bad. And here's the last one, 2010 to 2021. And like I said, it goes all the way to the end here. But this one actually has the satin, and also in the back he has the West Point. And they look uncirculated. They look like they're decent coins, you know, worth around 10 to 15 bucks a piece. Maybe more if I send them off for grading, but you got all those in here. That's kind of cool. And finding those W's quarters in circulation is like finding silver. That's what they're worth that much, or worth more. This Eisenhower dollar set, it's complete. I do have some of these. Really nice sets. There was some Mercury dimes in this one. Basically, they're kind of like slicks for the teens. Typical. But then he had this Dansko, and it was just missing the 16D. But I don't know why they put the 16D in there like that, or at least filled the slot backwards like that, because it's actually a 40D. So I don't know what the 16D or the 40D is doing a 16D slot. But anyways, a hole filler you put in there, but this had everything. And this is kind of a typical set that you find or buy or you see. Not high grades or anything, but it has a 21, 21D. You got those. The 21's a little higher grade than typical. Then you got the 31D. The 26S in higher grade is worth a little bit. That's something to look for as well, because you don't see the 26S in higher grades as much as you do the rest of them. But it's a nice set. Kennedy halves. Wasn't much in that except for a couple silvers, maybe 3 silvers. The rest is pretty much change. Then we had a 20th century type, and this wasn't complete, but it does have a nice 17 in it. And you flip it over, and with these, you notice the type 1 because it doesn't have the stars on the back. But this had a few coins in it. This could be completed. Probably got enough coins to complete it in the shop and then sell it at auction. So it's a starter set. It was getting started there. Had a couple Buffalo nickel albums. A lot of nick-a-date and clean coins and low grade and partial dates and no dates. Very hard to tell. Some of these were not accurate from what I could tell. But I did the best that I could on these. But even if you have the 1913 type 1 and 2s, if they've got nick-a-date on them, or you can't really see the dates, I can't tell if one of them's a 13, the better one there, the 13S. I can't really tell if it's a 13 or not. So can't really go by that. What you have to really look at these close. But it is a near complete. I mean, it's pretty close. But like I said, just problem coins and things like that. Nickels are known for that, and people are really hard on nickels. They don't want them if they're too bad. I don't blame them, because they're pretty common, except for some of the better dates and the teens and the mint marks. Then you have this one, and like I said, it's a little bit better. Some of the coins, some of them have slid around, but I did everything I could to try to identify each one of these to make sure I paid a fair price for them. It was not easy on these for some reason. It was not easy on these because, I mean, some of them, like I said, just had the partial no dates, and I don't know how whoever put them in the slots could tell on a couple of them. Not all of them, but just a couple. Had some Indian cent albums. There was a total of 3 of them of various fills. I mean, they had some in here. But like I said, there was some problem coins, but there was, different. I don't know whether they were trying to collect with other family members and just bought some albums to put some coins in, which is kind of cool. It's a good way of doing it and buying these albums. There's some little better ones there in the early on. 65, 67 is a good one, but it's in not very great condition. No key dates in these. I didn't see anything like that, a 1909S or an 1877, nothing like that. This one here is the most complete one. And regardless, I mean, you've got to account for any of them that they're beat up or damaged or anything. It's just the way it is. You can't overlook it as a dealer. That's just, I know people don't like that, but it's the truth. I'm not making it up. But, I mean, it's nice to buy albums with coins in it, and you always can use them for inventory. And then there was a bag of these. These are kind of cool. 1 ounce shotgun shells, and they're not, they're .99 silver, but there's no gunpowder, so they're not dangerous or anything like that. But they are kind of cool. Got a bunch of those. End up selling those, and then some silver bars. Your normal silver bars, generics. Then, out of all of them, this was the complete one, Washington Quarters. So I actually have 1932 DNS up here, which is the key dates. And then you have all the other ones in circulated condition. So if you need a complete set in circulated condition, this would be the one to get. Not too expensive. Some of them that have the mint statements in there, they're really hard to purchase for a decent price. But this one here, I see they put a 61 proof and a 63 proof. Those can be replaced with business strikes very easily. But that's a nice set. Just the album's a little, put it in a better album, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Some loose Roosevelt dimes, and there's a couple albums here of Roosevelt dimes, and this one here is the complete one, all the silvers anyways, and then here's the one in Dansko, and it is complete, and a lot of tone coins. You just have to overlook that, because it's got all the proofs and the silver proofs as you go along, starting in 92, and the clad proofs too. And it's a nice set. Sets like these, I mean, they can sell for $350. They're up there. Because, I mean, you've got you even have the enhanced finish. You got the reverse proofs. You got all these in here, even though it might have a little bit of toning on it. Honestly, easiest, you can, and you got to be careful, you don't want to rub them or anything, but you can quickly dip them in easiest and rinse them off, and then do acetone to make sure all the residue's off of them. And then when you put them back in this album, if you want to, use a cloth or something and kind of press them in. You can do that. You just want to make sure you don't rub them or anything. There's one left right up here. But it's a nice set, but it takes some work to do that. If you wanted no toning on all of them, there's a few of them that's got some toning. Toning there's kind of nice on that one. It's not too bad. This is a nice little version. That's a nice Roosevelt dime set there. And I saved the best for last. Even though this Walking Liberty $50 album is not complete, I do want to show these here real fast. But the ones underneath it are the better coins, the better sets that there was in there. It was kind of a surprise here for this one, because this Liberty Standing Quarters, 1916 and 1930, had earlier coins in it, as you can see. It didn't have a 16, that it had the 17 type 1 and 2, and not only that, look at the shield details. These are nice coins. 17D there. You had the 17S. You can tell it's a 17, which is good. Be able to see at least the last digit. You had an 18, 18D, 18S, full date. That's a nice one right there. A 19 had a little bit of environmental issues, but still, look at the details. That's going to help it out a little bit. In 1920, decent details there. A 20S. And then you had this 24 down here. And I wish I could show you the actual patina, but that is a very nice AU55 coin. 23 wasn't too bad either. But usually, this page is horrible. And this page is the better page, but it's the opposite. It's kind of odd. But yeah, so you had all these in there. And I mean, you could almost complete this side. This is the hard part, the hard one to finish, but still yet, look how close. So that was cool. And then you had this one here. And this one has got a lot of coins in it. Some better dates, but it's your Barber quarters and your Dansko, and you had your 92. It's a nice 92.0, 93. But you have some problem coins, a little bit here and there, but that's to be expected. Anytime you buy these collections, you're going to have slicks and problem coins. You want to make sure you lift up so you don't make a mistake that you got one of these keys, this 96S. Then you have Some nice 1901. Some issues on these. Really worn 01S. That's not an 01S, by the way. I looked at the back of that, unfortunately. That's a really big key date there, if it is. And 08D might be a little clean, but it's still nice details. So you got some little better dates. It's a 15S. And then a nice 16D is not too bad. But that's your typical condition. Very nice collection here. I was able to purchase it. He had a list. I don't know whether he sold the ones that's out of this. But like I said, if the O1S, he had $5,000 if it was. It's not an O1S, unfortunately. And for those of you who really want to know for sure, to be sure, I'll show you. It's very slick. I was hoping, but that mint mark would be right underneath those tail feathers, and it's not there. So it doesn't need to be in that slot, so I'm going to take it out of that slot. Last, but most certainly not least, there was some currency. There's actually a lot of currency and some really good currency. And we'll briefly take a look through some of the more common stuff to get to the better stuff, but you had a lot of silver certificates from 1957 and some 1935. There's a star note, decent condition. A couple of those. He said something about fancy serial numbers and all that. I really, unless it's something really special, like I don't typically pay much attention to that. That takes a lot of work and research, and you got to put them on eBay to actually get some of the pricing that you see. But some of these notes were really nice. Just real common, though. Like your 35s and 57s, they're really common. But there are some better notes in here, some large notes, and we'll look at those. But like I said, it's all nice. All the currency is. And I do enjoy looking through it. I always make sure that I look inside and make sure I count each one. Sometimes they have more than one inside the holders here. And basically, silver certificates like this, $1.25 and up. If they're like this, you can buy with paying $3 to $5. They'll sell 8 to 12. It just depends on what they look like, the person that's buying it, and if they need that particular one for their collection or they just like to collect them. And get down to, this is what they call a funny back, 1934. They call it kind of a funny back because of the fact that it looks like, funny money, play money. And then the red seals, a lot of people ask me about these. The 28's your best one out of these $2 this look here. But still yet, you're looking at $3 and up. If you have one that's in really, really good condition, something like this was not here, they can go for a lot more. They should be graded if you think that they're really high grade. But unfortunately, it takes 4 months to get these back, and I'm just not sending off much for grading anymore when it comes to the currency. It just takes too long. So you got these 28s, which are pretty cool, $5 to $8 a piece. As long as they're not torn, missing corners like this, that's an issue that you run into. Let's see. Here's a $5 silver certificate, a couple of them here. Have some writing on them, but they're not too bad. They'll sell. These are hard to get over $10. They're just a 1934, they're Federal Reserve notes. There's just not a lot of collectability with them unless you know the mules, different size plate numbers. If you get into all that, that's fine. I would rather just have them there to show and let people go through and find them something. And these, I think, $15 a piece. That's what I put on them. You can collect the whole series. The year my dad was born. About the only thing significant for me. And you got the $5. These are the U.S. notes, red seals. I mean, they'll sell for $8 to $10. A bunch of those in there. And then Something like that. Just weird. Kind of just tore it up. Really just throw that in the trash. Then here are some national currencies. This is from Minneapolis, Minnesota. 1929. $20. And then I got a couple of those. And then here is one from Richmond, north of Richmond. I like that song. Atlanta, Georgia. Chicago, Illinois. Another Chicago, Illinois. This is a nice one. The paper quality looks nice. Then you've got New York, and it's a $10. And these go for anywhere from $25 up to $65, depending on condition. Now, a really nice condition one can go for more. These are in that normal condition you typically see, or at least the average condition. This one here has a charter on it. These would be a little bit more because of that. And Kansas City, Missouri, Cleveland, just up the road. That's a nice one. Now that one I can see going for a little bit more. And then we have another. This was actually graded, National Banknote, Philadelphia. Charter 539, Pennsylvania. And then $100 New York. Then we got the large notes. United States notes, called Sawhorse. Unfortunately, it has some issues. Someone signed it, wrote on it, but still decent note. This one here is graded. I don't know how. This is not a good grading company, Legacy. And I would not put very fine on something that, I mean, I understand net grading it, but my goodness, look at this. It's tore up. Has missing pieces. $2. And this was an older $2. This is nice. 1917. I like these large notes. Then there was a bunch of the Black Eagle, $18.99. Various conditions. These are really popular. They don't last long. But several of those. I mean, a bunch of those. Really like them. But then there's a graded one. Very fine. And then the $1 silver certificates from 1923. These are the large notes, of course. And some nice one there. Then a $5 Federal Reserve. Just beautiful designs, intricate, especially this one. Nice $2 here. And that's a $18.99, $2. It's a $2 silver certificate. You don't see this very often. That's a nice one. So the unfortunate thing about it is, for me, is that he felt like he had 15 grand retail, and I ended up coming in at a little over $8,000 for everything, based off of the condition of some things, of the problem coins, the common stuff. A lot of it's common. And, I know I probably disappointed him a little bit, but that wasn't my intention. But I don't think it was 15,000 retail here. I mean, you're pushing it to get 12 out of all this stuff. And I'm probably not going to get that much. I'm just trying to do a high retail number for myself. But, when you collect something for a long time, in your heart, it becomes more valuable. And that's okay. That stands to reason. And like I said, I wanted to do this video, and it's for you. And I appreciate you selling this collection to me. It is a nice collection. I really love the Barber quarters and those standing quarters. I mean, that was really something else. And I do like the complete Washington quarter sets. I think that's cool too. So anyways, thanks for watching my latest video. Please like, share, and comment, and have a great day.